Hi, my name is Mia. I'm one of the student interns at the Gaia Project this summer. So I'll talk really quickly about the Gaia Project and what we do. So the Gaia Project is a provincial nonprofit, and our mission is to empower youth and teachers to take action on climate change. So we offer a lot of free, fun, hands-on programming for K to 12 students in the province. And we do topics like energy literacy, climate actions, student leadership, and a lot more. So today we have we have Annalie here with me, and she'll be helping me with the chat and all that. And we have a few staff member presents. I think I saw Travis, and we have Amy here from the Gaia Project here with us as well. And so before we start, I would like to acknowledge that the land that we work on today is the unsurrendered and unceded land of the past, present, and future Wabanaki people. We are all treaty people in New Brunswick, and we hope to become better allies to the Indigenous communities through our work. So we'll just go ahead and get started with our panels today. We'll be talking about green jobs in New Brunswick with our four panelists. So we'll be discussing topic of like what are green jobs, what does that look like, how our panelists got to their current position, and much more. And so today, our students that we have attending are from all over New Brunswick, from grade 6 to grade 12. So I just want to say a quick thank you again to our students for being here with us during your summer vacation. And so we'll get started with a little introduction to our panelists. I'll quickly introduce them and I'll let them share more about their job and what they do during our Q&A period. So first we have Alyse, who is the Manager of Community and Environmental Health Programs with the New Brunswick Lung Association. Then we have Bruce, who's the Energy Analyst with the City of Fredericton. We have David, who is the VP Operations and Electric Vehicle Specialist with All EV Canada Incorporated. And we have Mélanie, who is the Regional Senior Program Advisor with Public Health New Brunswick. So we'll just jump straight into our Q&A section. So first, we'll just start off with how would you explain your job to a high school student? So just really quickly, what do you do? What are your responsibilities? And we'll start with Alyse, and then Bruce, Melanie, and David.
Sure. So right now, my role includes basically talking to as many people as possible about electric vehicles. And it has looked a little bit different before the current funding that we have, with more aspects being involved. But right now, it's just about electric vehicles. So more practically, that involves planning events and going to other events around Atlantic Canada with the EVs that we have rented and with other staff. So, it's a lot of scheduling, it's a lot of talking to people, making sure that we have everything we need, ordering things, coordinating with our staff, with our partners in other places around Atlantic Canada. It's a lot of emailing and phoning and organizing and planning on the day-to-day. But then we also get to drive to cool locations and talk to people about electric vehicles. And that's the good overview of what my job is right now.
That's great. Thank
All right.
you.
Hi, my name is Bruce. I work with the City of Fredericton. I have for the last 4.5 years. My position with the city is I take care of all the heating and ventilation systems for all of our buildings around the city, like our arenas, City Hall, fire stations, things like that. And I also watch the energy that these buildings consume and manage that, and also come up with energy efficient projects from inception through to and conception through project management and getting the engineering done and taking that project through. So that's that is what I take care of here in the city.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Mélanie Madore. I work with public health, and if you notice a strong French accent, it's I'm doing my best with the English that I have. So with the task that I do at public health, it's quite different. So one day I can work on COVID, for example. The other day I can work on infectious disease. But my main responsibility is health and environment. And one of my biggest projects that I'm working on right now is toward climate change and evaluating the vulnerabilities to climate change for the health of the population. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Very interesting. Thank you. David, do you want to give us a little bit about what you do in your job?
Sure. I'm Dave, and essentially I love cars. So I've been working with cars for many years and was an instructor with the Nova Scotia Community College for several years on transportation trades. Started into the electric vehicle world in 2004. Currently was the founder of All EV Canada, created the onslaught of electric vehicles into Atlantic Canada. Sold recently the dealer to Steel Auto Group, who has now 4 plus 2 more coming up very quickly. All EV Canada. My job daily now is still working with the Steel Auto Group. Even after selling the business, I work with electric vehicles. I work with universities and colleges across Canada into the US. I build and design training curriculum around electric vehicles for schools. So right now I'm into a lot of projects, especially with first responders, how they handle electric vehicles, working with other colleges and universities on battery technology. Currently, I sit on the board with Apprenticeship in Nova Scotia, as well as CSA on lithium-ion battery disposal and repurposing. So yeah, involved with lots within the industry of electric vehicles, but also heavily involved with climate change protocols. I'm also certified with the CEPA on controlled substances for airborne products. I teach programs on how to handle certain types of gases and refrigerants, especially within the air conditioning industry. So yeah, very dynamic, but a lot of fun. Cars is my love, so I love cars. I get to play with the Plaid, Tesla, Porsche Taycan, performance vehicles. So it's yeah, so it's a very interesting day to day for me. It's 2 days are never the same for me. So
That's really cool, and I really like that it's all so different, but you're just touching base on so many different things. So the next question that we have for our panelists is, so what job or career were you interested in pursuing when you were in high school? We'll start with Bruce, we'll go to Alyse, Dave, and then Mélanie.
Out of high school, I guess I was interested in doing something, hands-on. So that's kind of the path that I was going down through. So whenever I went the community college route, and I took mechanical engineering technology in St. John is what I did. Then there was a couple of different options that we could specialize in. I found out that the field with that there was work and there should always be work in is the HVAC field, heating, ventilation, air conditioning for buildings. So with that, that was kind of my career path that I took, and then started. Yeah, so that's kind of the type of job that I wanted out of high school, was a hands-on, and that's definitely what I did achieve.
Okay, that's great. Alyse?
I was definitely not sure what I wanted to do when I was in high school. But in grade 12, I was mostly thinking I strongly considered becoming a nurse. And I was also thinking something along the lines of optometry, actually, because I liked physics in high school, and that was something that piqued my interest.
Wow, it's very interesting because you still kind of ended up with the Brunswick Lung Health Association, still a little bit in that healthcare
Yeah, it's
region.
very different, but there's some overlap there.
Melanie?
Sure. So I'm with Alyse. In high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wasn't that good in physics, though. I wasn't that good in math either, so my science were not that good. So when I graduated in high school, I was really proud of myself because I did it. But I was a jack of all trades, so I had interest in arts, geography, historics, so and politics. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I still graduated and I go to the university to explore my possibilities. So I think that's what's bringing me here. Yeah.
That's great. And David, what were you interested in high school, like pursuing a career?
I was kind of sucked into the world of cars. I love cars. I just love the mechanics of them. I love the innovation around how they worked. The different types of vehicles, and of course, in high school, we had a lot of my friends were involved with cars as well. So we used to build our hot rods, as you could call it back then. Did a lot of drag racing in my days. I actually did the high school challenge several years, representing our high school at drag strips with Mustangs and Camaros and so on. But yeah, so that was my love, was more the mechanics of vehicles. I had options to go to do mechanical engineering at university or pursue the trade. I found the trade was fit me better. It was quicker. I could get into it. I already had a lot of the skills that I acquired through my own dealings with cars. So I pursued into the automotive trades, and then from there transpired into truck and transport and collision. So yeah, so lots of opportunities, especially that were offered to me in my high school. And I'm actually from Ontario, so it was I had a lot of you know a lot of a lot of options and opportunities out there, especially in the automotive down there. So back then, that was many years ago too.
That's really interesting. So our next question is, how did you get here? So how did you get to your current position, your current job? We'll start with David, Melanie, Alyse, and Bruce.
Well, it's interesting. It's all about, I always tell students, it's all about you. Nobody's going to do it for you. So you have to pursue it yourself and really trying to excel in what you want to do and your skills that you already have. And so my path was to, get into the trade, learn as much as I could. I love teaching. So I started doing some co-op teaching, volunteering, taking students in when I was in the trade as a mentor, and then I volunteered actually ironically, at a field center in Orangeville, Ontario, working at a field center on weekends and that, helping with different programs that they were running for kids and stuff. And then essentially, I just kept pursuing, kept learning, became an instructor for several different companies, and finalizing with NSCC. And then I saw the trend for what was happening in the industry with electric vehicles, and started my own dealership in 2019. And then went from there. Had employees, had partners, and today now I still do what I love doing. I love teaching. I love engaging people. I love innovation. So currently we're working on another iDev project. It's a newer generation of our interactive demo electric vehicle, which is really exciting. So yeah, so that's kind of how I got here today.
That's great. Melanie?
So as I said, in my high school, I had very much interest in art and social sciences. So when I graduated, I go to the university. I had a bachelor degree in multidisciplinary science, so in philosophy, social science, such as sociology and art, general art. So when I graduated, I go into a prison, not to be an inmate, but to work there. So that's improved my skill in social working, so working with vulnerable population. After that, I get back to the university to specialize myself into social science and sociology in particular. So that brings me to the master degree that I took in environmental sciences. So both of them in a thesis. That's bring me to my work right now because I did a thesis in adaptation to climate change, but very at a community level with some politics and local governance. So that's where I met my previous supervisor, and she took me on a role with public health. I don't know if I'm doing a good job, but she's satisfied of my work right now. So yeah.
That's great. That's really interesting how you got to your current position. It's a very interesting pathway. Alyse?
Yeah, so I said I was interested in nursing in high school, and so I actually did 1 year of nursing school right out of high school, but decided, changed my mind, did 1 year of nursing, and then switched into the science program and pursued a biophysics degree at first because of my interest in optometry. And then I switched to a focus on just on biology as my major. Finished my undergrad with a major in biology and a minor in physics, and then went right into the Masters of Environmental Management program at UNB in Fredericton. And after that, I had kind of a couple 1 year long jobs in jobs that weren't really related to that. But then 2 years after I graduated from my master's, was able to get a job here at the Lung Association in the environmental field, and the health related aspect, which you pointed out, Mia, and that, and I've been here for 2 years.
That's great. Thank you. And Bruce, what was your pathway to your current position right now?
Yeah, so after I graduated HVAC at college, I got a job working in building automation. So installing control systems for ventilation, heating systems. So it was everything, it was and this was a while back, like back in 1995, I started my career. So, even computers and things, to have them in buildings and whatever, that was, they were there for 10 years, but as far as connected to automation systems and whatever, that was all new. So anyways, yeah, worked doing some installing systems, and then got into the programming and training on these systems to train building operators how to use them. Then probably around the year 2000, I got into doing a large complex system, installing and programming that. And then there was some certain asks from the client just to say, hey, can we make make this more efficient? Can we limit the power that this building draws and whatever? So then we started to write some programs for that, and that was kind of really where my energy management focus kind of took off, was right around the year 2000. So as I went through, I finished my career with that controls contractor. So I worked 10 years there. I came then to the University of New Brunswick, and I worked with facilities management there. And I finished off my career there in 2018. I was managing maintenance for all of our HVAC systems, plus kitchens and things like that. So it was, but then what I really was missing in that role was hands-on energy management. So I guess to rewind just a couple of years back in 2011, I took a course. It was a certified energy manager course. It was just a 1 week thing, but it was just kind of, hey, you get the paper saying that you do know the the math and the engineering and whatever to be an energy manager. So I got that certificate, and that helped me with my eventual role here at the city as an energy analyst. But really, they were looking for a certified energy manager that really knew how to control buildings and ensure that they're not using more energy than they require and whatever. So yeah, so I've been here for 4.5 years at the city, working with their energy management systems and developing and enhancing them and improving buildings and whatever. So that's my 25+ year career path is how I got here.
Wow, it's very, very interesting. Thanks, everyone. So next, hopefully this should be an easy question. What's your favorite part about your job? What do you love most about what it is that you do? And we'll start off with Melanie, go to David, Alyse, and Bruce.
Yeah, sure. That's a tough question. I really love every aspect of my job because it's new day, new challenge. When you're not used to work with COVID, you have to learn rapidly new things that's coming because the science goes by very, very rapidly, and there's new outcomes, new results coming every day. So part of my job is doing like research, communicating new results, so learning new things. So you have to be curious and you have to love working with people. So part of my job is also connecting to new partnership and learning new things and develop new partnerships. So that's what I love the most about my job.
For sure. I think it was David next.
Yeah, I think the thing I love is I like sharing information. I love sharing what I know to others, and they get excited about it. And I do a lot of that through innovation. So it's like, different ways of demonstrating, certain aspects, especially around electric cars or even the automotive trade. So yeah, I think that's the most rewarding part of my job for sure, is when I can engage students or others, and through innovative ways. I think that's what really makes it exciting.
Yeah, I think it also makes it a lot. It makes it very exciting for students as well to be learning, and I find, at least for me, I enjoy it much better when it's a different way, more engaging way of learning. Elise, what about you?
I really love the opportunities to talk to the public. So similar to Dave, that the times that I get to share information, just like hear their perspective, where they're at right now with like electric vehicles, or if it's about another area that we work with at the Lung Association, to kind of hear where they're at and make those connections of the gaps, what they're missing, what they don't know. Do they need to get inside an electric vehicle? Do they need to hear someone's real life experience? And getting them from point A to point B, and just kind of knowing that they are going to walk away with a slightly different perspective, is a really great experience for me. I love when I just get to talk to people at the events we go to. And I also like talking to our partners in work, like people at LEV Canada, our partners with Gaia Project. It's so nice in this area of like environmental stuff. I think everyone is really excited to be involved, and so it's always fun and interesting to talk to the partners who help these projects happen. And that's a really fun thing. It's collaborative and it's close knit, and it's fun and casual to talk to people like my coworkers and people in other organizations as well. That is a highlight as well. I love my coworkers, and that is a fantastic part of an office job.
For sure. It's so, I think I find with green jobs, in New Brunswick. There's just so much variety that with partnership, I find that it's very, it's the word, well-rounded. You're able to approach issues from a lot of ways, which is very interesting. And Bruce, what's your favorite part about your job, your position?
I guess the best part about mine, what I do enjoy is watching, the power bills and utility bills at the end of the month, and knowing that a project that you had a concept about that you figured should work, and you had the numbers that it should work, and after it's implemented and set up, and you're watching the numbers that it actually does work. So the real aspect of making changes for the best, or for the better, and seeing the results of those, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, it's always great to know that you're able to make a difference and just have that right in front of you. And then we have here, so for us at the Gaia Project, a green job, a green careers, it really just means any jobs that like intentionally contribute to a more sustainable world, a more sustainable community, and it includes a lot of different sectors: food, energy, vehicles, education, government, all that. And so I think one thing that we do try to emphasize a lot, especially throughout our panels this summer, has been the I guess aspect of that every job essentially has the potential to be green and to become a green job and contribute to a more sustainable world and community. So for your jobs, what aspects of it do you think makes it a green career? What I guess what aspect of it contributes to it being green? We'll start with Bruce, Melanie, David, and then Alyse.
Yeah, I guess I have a very quite applicable job, as it's as far as a green job. Everything I do with the energy management of buildings is just making sure that they're efficient, and just driving the efficiency of the buildings every day. That's yeah, that's the part that makes my job a green job.
Great. Melanie?
Yes. Well, I think that health and environment are interly or very close together. When the people are healthy, they take care of the environment, and when the environment is healthy, well, it take cares of their people around. So I think part of my job is really, when I was beginning, I talk about my climate change project. So evaluating how people are vulnerable towards or facing climate change related hazards. And there's another part of my job that's coming in fall that will evaluate how the healthcare system, so the hospitals, the nursing homes, can adapt to climate change, but can also contribute to mitigate the effect of climate change. So I think that's a biggest part of my job that's green. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I find that when looking at climate change adaptations, just climate change in general, I think health is one area that's to get overlooked a lot. So that's really, really interesting. Thank you. David, so what do you think aspect of your job makes it a green career?
I think with electric vehicles, it's really showing that sustainable way of transportation, reducing carbon footprint, reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, finding new technologies in obtaining energy to charge cars, finding more efficient ways to operate vehicles, the longevity of them, the repurposing, reusing of batteries within vehicles. So I think these are all really great things that really help with climate change, and some of the things that every province and in Canada, everyone's trying to do worldwide. So I think that's awesome. And the second part is when I teach courses on controlled substances And it's just amazing how many people don't understand some of the impacts climate change has to the environment, and it really opens their eyes. And it's exciting to see when they come up at the end of a class where they're saying like, wow, I had no idea that these things are happening, and the impacts, you hear it on the news, but to see it in a setting that really explains how these climate change really does affect us in our daily lives really makes a big difference. So I think that's my reward in teaching some of these classes. So, but yeah, it's definitely everything I do is I'm always focused on my impact on the environment and how I can share a better way of doing things to those I communicate with. So.
For sure. Thank you. And for you, Alyse?
So my role is focused on green transportation, and right now specifically on electric vehicle education and awareness. And because we're the Lung Association, we're coming at this from the perspective of like with the goal of having cleaner air quality. And so definitely invested in green transportation as a whole. And then right now that's what my job is all about, but there's other environmental clean air facets that the Lung Association is involved in, that all are contributing to the more sustainable world, of having clean air, better lung health, better quality of life for humans, and better longevity for this planet.
That's really, really great. Thank you. So when you're looking at your job, your day-to-day, all the responsibilities that you have, what skills do you think is like that you use a lot, or what skills do you think are really like a necessity in your job? We'll start with David, Alyse, Bruce, and Melanie.
Yeah, I think the biggest skill is always to keep learning, understand fundamentals, learn the fundamentals. Don't jump right into specific areas. Always keep a broad scope of your learning. Don't be afraid to learn new things for sure. That's really a critical piece is like, keep learning. Don't be afraid to learn. I think that's where I get a lot of my knowledge is through foundations. I learn the foundations of how things work, the basic principles, and then I can apply it to pretty much almost anything. So which is really the continuous learning that I do, even though I'm developing curriculum and helping other schools and colleges and other groups and developing training curriculum, but I'm also learning constantly as well. So, which is really exciting part of my job. So,
For sure, I've heard that a lot of like in a lot of advice. That's really good advice. Like always keep learning. And I think it was Alyse that was next.
Okay, good. Yeah, I would say first of all that it's been a lot of like on the job training, kind of like Dave said, just learning the whole time I'm here. And I didn't know a lot about electric vehicles before I started on this job. So like that, all that knowledge I gained when I got here. Um, this is my first like full-time permanent job in my field, and so there's a lot of just the kind of normal job things that I'm learning as well. But again, like I didn't need to have that all figured out before I got here. My boss and my coworkers have been extremely helpful in helping me to be successful in being here and doing this role. But the kind of like basic like skills that were very helpful are like people skills, like being able to talk to people well and listen to people well to kind of see those gaps in their understanding. That's very helpful in my job. And then a lot of administrative skills, organizing, you know, Excel sheets and calendars and email and that sort of thing. Those are just very helpful in any sort of thing I'm going to do while I'm here. Honestly, the other things are shift and change and grow, and like there's always new things to learn about electric vehicles. So that is, I'm just learning new things every day about that. And that's great. That's okay. That I'm just learning on the job.
That's great. You made some really great points there. What about you, Bruce? What skills do you think are really necessary in your job?
I think necessary is like just a good mechanical aptitude and with machinery and with equipment and things like that. So somebody that has a strong mechanical aptitude, like in high school, and they're like, oh, what could I do as a career? This is a really applicable career to that as anything in the heating, ventilation, air conditioning field, working with mechanical systems and whatever. So that's needed, but just a skill. I think it's a skill is just that desire to to do better and to make systems better and to always push the envelope and ask questions and things like that. That's what makes you good at any career. I think that's a good skill that is required in my field.
That's really cool. That's good to know. And Melanie, what do you think?
I think, same as Dave mentioned, I think you have to keep on learning new things. When I started with public health, I had no idea of what COVID was, and now I think I manage quite a few things around infectious disease and how the environment, when it's degraded, can affect the health of the human. So that's quite interesting. And I think that you have to be curious. One of my great teacher tell me, if you can be anything, be curious. So when you have curiosity and you ask question and you keep on learning, that's the best skills that you can develop. And in my job right now, I think that the love of human, the love of social sciences, in trying to understand what humans are facing when they talk about climate change. I know that there's eco-anxiety right now. So just talking to them and finding some ways to face that and be proactive, I think that's a best skills that you can develop.
Thank you. I think is a very common theme is to always stay curious and keep learning, which I think is great advice for our students. I'll open up the questioning period now for any students, any participants who have any questions or panelists. You can unmute yourself or you can send your questions in the chat. Yeah, questioning period. We'll ask the free questions while we wait to see if any questions roll in. So I think the next question that I really am interested in knowing, and I think our students would be as well, is what does your work environment look like? So I think a few of you have talked about. Oh, I think we lost David. Hopefully, he'll just join back in a sec. I think a few of us have talked about how it varies day to day. So just kind of like, what's your most typical work day? What does that look like for you? We'll start with Melanie, Alyse, and then Bruce.
A typical work day, you said?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of meeting with public health, so a lot of updates. We usually have one meeting in the morning just to know which file are we working on. So that's starting my day. After that, I depends on the subject that I'm working on. If I'm working on COVID, if I'm working on infectious disease, or if I'm working on my project on climate change. Usually I do some research, I do some outreach, I send some email to partners to get their advice on subjects. So that's pretty much my days look like. Meetings, doing research, communicating with person to get answers. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my day-to-day, my most common days are sitting at a desk and doing like the emails, the phone calls, the planning, the scheduling. You know, I run our social media pages, so there's some graphic design and some research involved in what are relevant things to share. You know, communicating, sometimes getting asked to be involved in stuff like this, and that meetings are involved in that too. And then that is definitely the majority of my time. But then the other section of my job right now is like driving to and attending electric vehicle events. And so that obviously looks completely different. At the events, it's a lot of standing and chatting with people. We take people out on test drives, answer questions. You know, there's some organizing involved in that with the schedule of the test drives and registering people for that. But yeah, mostly I know I feel like looks like an office job a lot of the time. A lot of connecting with people and seeing that we're on the same page and making sure things are lined up for events to run smoothly, writing reports and proposals and you know that sort of thing as well.
Sure. Thank you. And Bruce, what does your stereotypical workday look like for you?
Typically, we're fielding just different from different occupants of buildings. If it's hot, if it's cold, if there's no ventilation or what have you. So we're monitoring systems, but then we're also managing our efficiency projects that have been implemented. So visiting sites, just making sure that the installation or the changes or the new equipment is being installed properly and everything is on meeting timelines and things like that. And then just making sure that your paperwork is up to date, but it's also, involves, applying for incentives and rebates and things like that for these projects. So there's definitely some paperwork to do, whether it's with the government or Empower or things like that, just to make sure that you can acquire funding for these projects. So yeah, it's quite diverse, never always the same, but always busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. We don't seem to have any questions from the students, so I'll keep asking some more questions. So what motivated you guys to pursue this pathway? Like, yeah, like what really interested you about pursuing the position that you're currently in? We'll start with, oh, I think David is coming to join us. So we'll start with Bruce, Melanie, and then Alyse, and then David.
Motivation for this career, I guess to talk about my most recent is just the effect that I can have on reducing energy use for buildings. So that's probably my most drive that I have for this job. The one thing that I did want to, and it might be a little bit off topic for this. Uh, if there's students out there that are, that's not the typical green job for me, or okay, well that's in the technical side or it's in the maintenance side, and there's not the same financial incentives to do that work as there is to something that they perceive of taking a career through a university path and whatever. That's kind of one of the misconceptions that's out there now. It's like, well, those jobs wouldn't give you the same quality life as, going through college. You wouldn't get a same quality life as going through university and whatever. That's not the truth. There are some very, very good paying jobs that are in the trades and in engineering and in maintenance and what have you. So don't be don't be thinking that you have to go to university to get a well-paying job. You don't. There's very, very well-paying jobs in trades and maintenance.
It's really great advice. Thanks, Bruce. Melanie, what motivated you to pursue your position that you have right now?
That's a good question. And when I was young, my hometown is Edmundston, so I was surrounded with forest and so such a lovely landscape. And my father was bringing me to hunt and to fish, and he gave me the love of the nature and just take some time in nature. So I think that's part of it. As I said previously, I love social sciences. When I finished my second bachelor, one of my thesis advisor at the master degree bring me into project research that was into climate change. I didn't know what was climate change at that time. And so as I was researching and working with him, he transmitted his passion towards climate change and how can you work with people on the ground in the community to help them improve their life facing climate change. So I think that's what motivated me the most about my job, my current job now. Yeah.
Thank you. Alyse?
So like I said before, I didn't know what I wanted to do right out of the gate with high school. So it was a lot of like slowly learning what I was interested in and what I actually enjoyed doing. So kind of keying into my own interest in nature during my science degree, when I was focusing on biology, that's when I really clicked on how important that was to me. Have always been really involved in summer camps. I worked at summer camps as a lifeguard throughout my university career. And that I think was a big part in realizing that how important that was to me. And then realizing during my master's degree actually that it was like that it's the people connection that is the other biggest thing for me, that I wanted to do a job where I'm connecting with people in some way and sharing with them something I'm passionate about, and the environment and nature is one of those things. And so that is, why I, lean towards something like this. It was looking for a job like this, where it's a lot of, it's about the environment, it's about clean air, but it's about public education. Basically, it's about connecting with people and telling them, trying to help them understand the importance of air quality in different ways. And that, so there's a lot of discovery, and I'm sure there's more things for me to discover about what I'm interested in and what I'm more passionate about.
That's really, really great. Thanks, Alyse. And David, I think you missed the question, but it was what motivated you to pursue the career and the position that you currently have right now?
I think it was the problem solving aspect of it, where you're taking things that are problems and finding solutions, whether it's a broken vehicle or something that's not done correctly, and you find a solution for it. So I've been always asking questions, as Melanie said before, is that curiosity. I can't agree with that more. That's the foundation, really, at the end of the day, is to, keep pursuing that. And that's kind of where I went with the automotive, fixing cars, and then going into the more of the innovation research, and then finding problems or finding solutions to problems. If you ever come to Halifax, the Harbor Hoppers are prime examples of some of that work. They run electromagnetic braking systems on them that we came up with a design and so on. So it's pretty exciting to, see a problem and find a solution, because we have the background, the knowledge, the training. As Bruce said earlier, the trades are definitely a great source of career paths. I had options to go in either or, and I went through the trades, and I don't regret it at all. In fact, I do a lot of training for engineering, as well as mechanical engineering, civil engineering students. A lot of them think I have engineering background or degrees with a university, and I don't. I have trades background. So real life practical applications that we find solutions for. So never think that that you need to excel in something by going to a university or whatnot. Look at what you love doing. And the way I always saw it is, if I wake up in the morning and I love what I do and I have no regrets in going into work and doing that job, I'm in the right place. So that's kind of what motivates me every day, is just that passion to do better every day.
That's fantastic to hear, David. Thank you. We're coming to an end. I'd like to ask really one quick question at the end to just kind of wrap up our panel. And I'd like to ask our panelists, so what advice do you have, if any, for students who are looking to pursue a career that's very similar to yours? So what advice would you have for them? And we'll start with Bruce, David, Alyse, and then Mélanie.
I guess one of the best pieces of advice that I was given is do something that not everybody else is doing for a career, and that was kind of the thing that has really kind of made me specialized in my career. Just having my mechanical background, but then enhancing it with my certified energy manager and things like that. There needs to be more people out there doing that. There is good money, there is good jobs in energy management and out there right now. So yeah, it's a growing field as the price of fuels and whatever increase, as solar PV comes online and whatever. There's a lot of jobs coming up. So just yeah, do something else that not everybody else is doing, but yeah, mechanical systems and trades and whatever, it's a great field. It's an interesting and evolving trade every day.
That's really great advice. Thank you, Bruce. David?
I would say ask questions, do some research, ask people in those trades or in that career field, or those jobs. Ask them, like, a lot of people are willing to share their experiences and their roles and their jobs. And just like you're here today asking us, the same thing. If you're interested in automotive, mechanical, there's lots of programs out there, even through this high schools and that you can go in and do on the job day events where you can go and see what happens in an automotive shop. But do your research, do the explore. Like Bruce says, is that and find the ones that are specializing. Especially jobs right nowadays are like huge, and you got to remember there's a lot of times where you're sitting in a classroom with 30 other students, and they're all doing the exact same course and the exact same, getting the same information. What makes you different out there? So to an employer, as I was hiring staff and stuff through All EV, I had to look at resumes, and I was looking, I'd look for things that were different, like volunteer work. What was their interest? What did they, how did they get to where they are today? Those are the things that I'd be looking for. The education, and that's great, but at the end of the day, I'm looking for team players. I'm looking for top-notch people that can learn and can continue to grow and be those superstars. So, and everyone has that in them. It's just a matter of them, going out and doing it. So I think that's the biggest thing is, keeping that motivation up and asking the questions and doing the research, and, and really pushing forward with what you want to learn about that job. And a lot of times we did a test drive program down in Nova Scotia where students would come in from high school and they would explore the 3 automotive trades, and or 3 transportation trades, and at the end of it, it's a win-win, because if you went through the program for a week and didn't like it, realized this isn't for me, that's a win. You didn't waste your time going into those trades. Whereas if you seen that you like it, then now you know what you want to do, so you know how to pursue it. So don't be afraid to explore and to engage in different programs and projects that are out there, and and just keep pushing. So
That's really great advice. Thank you, David. And Alyse?
I would say, like, to get involved. That would be my advice. Like, if there are organizations that you're interested in local to you, or even not local to you, to get involved online, to get involved in person, going to events, volunteering with them, follow them on social media. There's lots of online events these days, like webinars and, like chatting, like contests and stuff in comments. Um, to get involved in that way gives you an idea of like what's happening in that field. And if you plan to work like in that place, then like the people involved in that organization might, they get to know you, which means that theoretically that if they see your name in a pile of job applications, then that's a recognizable name. It's a face they know. Honestly, that goes a long way. And yeah, so that would be my advice to Annalise says networking skills. That's basically it. Getting involved is those sorts of things. It's base level networking, beginning that journey. So that would be my advice, to put yourself inside of organizations that you're interested in as much as you can.
Really great advice. Thank you, Alyse. And we'll wrap it up with Melanie.
Perfect. I will be philosophy. Follow your dream and your passion, and the rest will follow. I think that's what's kept me going and brings me here today. So when you find your passion, you're very good at, just keep on learning and make new connection. As Alyse and Dave said, volunteering is quite important because, well, outside of my job, I also volunteer with NGOs, and that brings me a lot of new partnership, and that brings me also an insight of who's doing what into the environmental world. And it's such a small world in New Brunswick, so you have to have those contacts and make sure you make the right connection. So yeah.
That's really great. This is a very great advice for our students, I'm sure. So we are coming to the end of our last Screen Expert panel of the summer. I just want to say thank you so much to all of our panelists for being here today and sharing all their great knowledge and experience. And thank you to our students for spending an hour here with us today listening. I'm sure it was very interesting and inspiring for all of our students.